Hey, what's up, everyone? My name's Lionel. I'm your host for LT Productions, and you are watching I Watch You Watch. Today, we're covering a new web series on my channel. Not new to the web reality world. As you have been seeing, I have been covering different web series that are on YouTube from the Chasing Reality franchise. You see my reviews on Chasing Dallas, Chasing Orlando. Well, now I am bringing you Chasing Atlanta. I do appreciate everyone for coming to my channel. Please like this video. You can also subscribe, share this video, and leave your comments below. Now let's get into the season premiere of Chasing Atlanta. Okay, so I am quite brand new to Chasing Atlanta. I started watching Chasing Reality, the franchises, probably about a year to 2 years ago. I started out with Chasing Orlando just to give it a try, and was more encouraged after watching the Chasing panel that stars Scotty by Nature, Mr. Jamar, Mr. Trammell, who is on Chasing Atlanta, K-Star, who's on Chasing Atlanta, and Jeremy Speaks, and Giving You the Real Tea. All of them. So I would listen to the reviews. I think it was Chasing Dallas that I first heard the reviews, but anyways, I started watching it and liked it, and then I started reviewing myself. I did a season of Chasing Dallas and this last season of Chasing Orlando, and now I've made it over here to Chasing Atlanta, which I hear is the creme de la creme of Chasing Reality. I know I'm late to the party, but thank you for the invite. So I have not watched any past seasons, so I'm getting in this new. I'm hearing that this is a new era for Chasing Atlanta. A little bit from what I was hearing, that the show wasn't really coming back, but now it is back, and people are loving it, and I'm willing to go on the ride with you all. One, I love to support anyone. I love supporting independent anything, content creators, independent music artists, actors. I love it. So I'm loving people chase after their dreams, and that's my endeavor. And of course, because this is a reality show, there's got to be drama. So let's get into it. All right, so we start off with Dominique. From what I've learned, is Dominique is a returning cast member from the old cast, and he's going to be one of the anchors of the show. He talks a little bit about what's going on in his life. I believe that he's a dog groomer, and he has other businesses that are going on. He mentioned that Missy Elliott recognized him for whatever's going on in his career. I was trying to catch exactly what he was saying, and I'm sure that I'll get a little bit more follow-up as to what all Dominique is doing. He is speaking concerning a breakup and how he's been doing, and he's been putting himself first. He's been able to value self-love, peace, and all that good stuff. He meets up with Tony Bryce. Tony Bryce is trans, and she's also a returning cast member from the old cast. She is a trans woman, and also involved in ballroom. She's an entertainer, as I already said, with ballroom, but also she's filming season 3 of P-Valley. Who knows when that's coming out, but hey, shout out to Tony Bryce. We get into a scene with Tony Bryce. They're celebrating a transgender day of visibility. She received a reward of recognition from an organization, Nova. I'm really loving that. I'm loving seeing some activist work that's happening. We saw some of that on Chasing Orlando with Miss Marlo Kay, and I'm just loving it. It kind of puts me in the mind frame, and I don't want to compare you and try to minimize who you are, Tony Bryce, because you are who you are in your own right, but puts me in the mind of T.S. Madison. Hopefully it's not insulting to you, but it kind of just helps my mind frame as to kind of visualize you, but you are your own person, and I celebrate you. So Dominique and Tony, they catch up. They speak just briefly on what the old cast was giving. They got some PTSD from how, I guess, things ended, but they're willing to open up and put together a new group, and just to see what everyone is chasing. We meet Quentin Lant. He's a wardrobe stylist. He hails from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and now he lives in Atlanta. I think he's been here for 7 years. Shout out to the Midwesterners. I'm from Illinois. Anyways, he's been chasing his dream of fashion. He pulls up to the scene with his friend Sebastian. He has a photo shoot for his business. I forgot the name of the business, but he's a hot dog entrepreneur. He's in that. So we got Dennis McKinley. Anyways, he's on this horse. The theme is Beyonce's Cowboy Carter. Looking pretty good. Quentin is going to be the creative director for his photo shoot. That's part of the package that comes with Quentin. I'm loving Quentin's vibe. I don't know, I just like him for just who he is. And I'll probably just explain it a little bit more, but his spirit is pretty good. He's also, Quentin is an event curator. He wants to put a event together for fashion and bites, and he's going to be including Sebastian with his hot dogs. A lot of his menu is kind of innuendos to a lot of sexual stuff. He's going to play a couple of games for the party. One is about how do you eat a hot dog and how many inches can you take. So, of course, you know what all that stuff means. Next, we meet Noelle Nix. Noelle Nix is pretty popular. Just to let y'all know, it's no type of offense. I don't know any of y'all. I haven't really been in the circuit to really know anything about you, but I'm open to knowing you, and I'm going to support you and to get into what all you have going on. So it's no type of shame, just to let you know. But Noelle Nix is kind of is a icon. He's into movies, TV, music. I believe that Noelle is a rapper, and he talked about being an extra in Iggy Azalea's music video. He said, you know, I was an extra. I do love that about your personality, that you, of course, you are about your business. However, you don't take yourself that seriously in that moment in the confessional. So you laughed about that experience of just being an extra. But anyways, we soldier on in what you got going on in your business. Noelle has a single out right now called Party With Me, and an album that was released some time ago, Boys Can't Be Girls Too. He's been number 8 charting on iTunes. And later on, he meets up with Dominique and discussed that he's going to be having a deluxe album. Dominique, who's still gathering the new circle, tells Noelle about Sammy. Sammy, I think he's got a last name. Is it Sammy Ray? Everybody's new to me, as far as y'all too. So if I get anything wrong, I promise I'm gonna correct it pretty soon, y'all. But at least Sammy is another queer rapper, and he's got a single release that Dominique has been invited to, and now Dominique is going to be bringing Noelle with them. Of course, Noelle wants to know a little bit of details regarding Sammy. Is he single? Dominique's like, I don't know, I think he's engaged and all that. We'll get into that in just a minute. Dominique grooms Sammy's dog, and that's how he knows Sammy and how they become familiar with each other. So on to the single release party. We have Sammy. I will tell you, I enjoyed Sammy, but I'll get to that in just one second. He's going to be performing a song called Yeah I Know. Before he gets on stage, his partner, fiance Sam, is being who Sam needs to be, which is, Sam? Is it Sam? Ooh. No, I don't even know the fiance's name. I'll get that next week. Sorry, Sammy. But the fiance is being who fiance is supposed to be. Cheerleader to Sammy. So I was really loving it. He was putting the oil on him as far as his stage presence. So Sammy goes out on stage and he raps Yeah I Know. I love it. I love his style. I love his flow. To me, it puts me in the mind frame of Meg Thee Stallion and how her verses go and her flow go. I like it a lot. Of course, Meg raps about something else, but Sammy is still his own individual. Next, we meet a new person. Her name is Althea. And we find out that Althea is a singer, a writer, and a model. And she's heterosexual. Now, I was kind of cringy knowing that a heterosexual woman was going to be on this cast. Some would say, why not? Aren't they supposed to be allies? A lot of times, what people call allies in these heterosexual cis women, it's not that. And all it takes is one thing for a lot of heterosexual women to just all of a sudden become homophobic. Y'all act like besties and all that, but from what I'm seeing thus far, I'm not really getting that flow out of Althea. So hey, it's the first episode. I'm not holding it against her. I'm going to see Althea for who she is, and if she cuts up later on the season, then we'll deal with that. So Sammy did perform the song at MSR. MSR is a lesbian bar, and they're kind of just, well, we'll get to we'll talk about Sammy. Sammy joins Noel and Dominique. Now, well, I will say this, Noel, I saw you getting googly-eyed at Sammy. Now, you did find out when Sam came down to meet with y'all that he is engaged, and he's been with his partner for 15 years. I have the same questions that you do, Noel, because 15 years. I'm sure a lot of people are saying it don't take no 15 years to get engaged. You know. But Sammy's not disclosing his age, and that's fine with me. But anyways, it does put a question mark over our heads. You know, like, are y'all good? Like, what took so long? But hey, that's their relationship. I ain't been in it, and we'll just have to follow their love story as it goes. Noel does say, look, I'm not into being with married men. My legs is closed. However, if they crack open that door, I'm running right in there. I said, oh, okay. So Althea joins them, and of course they get into Althea to know that she's a heterosexual woman, and they were questioning that, why are you in a lesbian bar and you're heterosexual? She says, you know, I don't have any desire to be with women. She says something about fantasy, but nothing to ever pop off. She has a bisexual best friend, and she's just cool with the community. I love that. Althea seems very laid back and a warm presence to be around from what I'm seeing thus far. They put her on the spot and wanted her to sing, and she sounds incredible. Probably put you in the mind of India Ari, maybe Erykah Badu, the neo soul type of ladies that are out there, or artists that are out there. Althea did commend Sammy on his performance and was saying, hey, we might as well collab, and there might be a future collab between those two. All right, we're back to Tony. Did I say Tony? Tony Bryce. I wanted to make sure. We see her at the House of Louboutin. It's family night, meaning a lot of the queers, they do come out, and it's a game. Well, it's not a game. It's a night of getting sexual health information and resources, and Viv Healthcare is facilitating it. And I'm glad we're getting that right up front, because, you know, particularly with web reality shows or anything, it probably will be in the middle of the season where we get one episode of this heart-touching, not like a PSA in a way, of discussing sexual health. And it's like, look, it's cool, but it's like it becomes quite, what's the word I want to use? It's a P word. Performative in a way, but it's just like, can we do something else? Like, can we switch it up? I'm just glad for the switch up. I'll just say that much. It's so cool that you promote sexual health and you talk about what's going on in the community and all that, but I'm glad that we're not waiting until the middle of the season to start talking about it. And obviously this is a passion for Tony Bryce, and I'm really gleaming towards her because I'm really loving how I'm seeing her advocate for her brothers and sisters, and I'm really loving it. We meet another new cast member, Nova Banks. Nova Banks is trans. She was born in New York, raised in Florida, and now resides in Atlanta. She's been there for like a year or so. She's an aspiring model, and also I think she's into rap too, or at least in music. She's interested in ballroom and wanting to connect with Tony to see what can get popping for her. Tony and Nova, they have their own separate conversation so that they could get to know one another or get familiar with one another. Nova's been kind of isolated. It looks like we're going to get deep into her story. Whatever happened while she was raised in Florida has had a deep impact at how she functions now. When she transitioned, a lot of people just really X'd out of her life. Her ex-boyfriend, when she started taking hormones, didn't want any part of it, and that was that on that. Nova says, like, since being in the ATL area, that she doesn't really hang out with the community and just really feeling good to be amongst the group. I think whatever you may have experienced, and then you coming into a new city, who do you actually trust? Who do you actually run with? And you got to know, especially in Atlanta. Yeah, she talked about one of the reasons that she moved from Florida is because of rights being taken away from queer people, especially trans people. And that's what's going on with our current governor. But anyways, we don't need to get on him. Now, right now, Nova is writing a book and also writing music. She talked about her boyfriend that's in jail, and he's going to be getting out pretty soon. So she's been a Cookie Lyons. But the reverse Cookie Lyons, because Cookie Lyons went to jail. Hopefully things are still the same for you, Nova, when your boyfriend gets out. But if you start tapping into more of your relationship, I may have more to say about your situation with your boyfriend, but I'll leave it there for now. Toni talks about dating. She says that she's been single for 20 years. I'm like, that's a long time. But how she feels is that she wants to be accepted for her as far as being a trans woman. And she's not really into this whole DL lifestyle as far as going with DL men. She actually said boycott DL men. DL men are good for one thing, but it's hard to stay focused there because the sex may be good, but feelings can get involved. Look, you gotta have a good cutoff game if you're gonna deal with DL men. Cut them loose, let them go. But she's just not done with that. And Tokyo, I was about to call you. Sorry, I was about to call you Tokyo. Ooh, Tony, I'm sorry. Tony, you are deserving of someone to love you for who you are. They talk about ballroom, which Nova is wanting to get involved in, and Toni was like, well, what categories do you want to be in? Nova doesn't really know. She doesn't have any interest as of yet. And she also talked about her body. She's like, well, I don't really have the body. And Toni was like, what do you mean? Like, I don't have the breasts, I don't have the booty and all that. And then Toni was like, oh, you're talking about the femme ballroom. So there's different types of ballroom. Honestly, I don't know anything about ballroom. And to be honest, I'm just getting really familiarized with it through like Beyonce's Renaissance and all that. I know that there was a show, what was it called? It was on FX or Stars, whichever one. Pose. I didn't watch it. I do know about it. However, yeah, I'm just really learning about that. I'm open to learn about it. It's just not been my thing. And hopefully we get some type of teaching or more insight into what goes on in ballroom this season. Let's see. So then Toni ends up inviting Nova to a ball that she will be hosting or something to that nature. But come along so you can start getting a feel as to what's going on. Next up, new cast member Premeire. Now Premeire, I am familiar with him through the Chasing panel, and I've also listened to a few of his songs. He's in the studio right now preparing for his video shoot for his single Lost and Found. He's a charting artist on iTunes, and he's friends with Althea. So they hook up and they talk a little bit. He gives the concept of his music video. He's going to be playing 3 different characters. He gave the names of them, but I didn't write them down. But it's about not so much losing the person that he was in love with, but investing so much time in this person, and now what do I do with all this stuff? Like, he's trying to find himself after putting so much into the relationship, and now it's just gone. Althea talks about the group that she started meeting folks like Sammy. Premeire knows him. Premeire also knows about Dominique, but does not know anything about Noelle, or has not met, or not really familiar with Noelle as far as they've met. He talks about Dominique, but he's not ready to tell Althea how he knows Dominique. I wonder what's there. I don't know what's there, but I guess we'll get into it. Next, Dominique and Toni, they meet up, and they kind of just compare notes as far as whom they had met thus far to try to round out the circle for the Chasing Atlanta circle. They talked a little bit more about what happened in season 6. We get some flashbacks of stuff that has happened and occurred, and Dominique says that his walls is up. Now, I didn't go back to go research. Maybe later on I will. Right now, I don't feel really inclined to try to see what happened as far as the drama and all that. And it's a new slate, so I just rather move forward. If I feel to go back, I will, but I don't have really interest, really. But Dominique's got his guard up. And look, it's a fine line that people got to walk around here if we're going to be a part of this friendship, collaboration circle. Dominique says that he got an invite to Fab Night, which is going to be hosted by Quentin. He called it weird only because he's just very suspect and just like taking it slow with a lot of these jokers on the show and anyone within the circle. So we get to Fab Night. The venue is at the Ivory Showroom. Now, I remember Ivory Showroom from The Real Housewives of Atlanta. Phaedra had an event there last season. That's the same episode that Brett Eady called Kelly a hobbit. Yeah, it was there. So the whole vault thing, but I think even Phaedra used that place on Married to Medicine, her first season on there. So anyway, yeah, so I recognize that. So a lot of the gang starts showing up. Sebastian is talking with Q just to kind of see how everything's going, how's time going. I think Sebastian needed some time and was asking like, can you stall these folks for a little while for me to get everything together? And that's when he said that I've come up with some games and show us how to eat a hot dog and how many inches. So as everyone is filtering in to come into the Fab Night, Dominique shows up and introduces himself to Tremel. Dominique played in Tremel's face because he feels some type of way that Tremel didn't tell him that he was going to be on this platform. Nova comes in. Althea, they get acquainted with one another, and they start talking about what Nova wants to do, and she's trying to write her children's book. As they're looking around, it looks like Nova and Dominique are not really impressed as to what they're seeing, I think, in the lobby area as far as the clothes. However, when they get on the main floor, that's when I guess he's a little bit more impressed as far as Dominique. Noel comes in. I think he was the last person that came in. And Nova calls him a Medea with a wig on. Now, I'm going to tell you this much, Noel. And I kind of got to get into you because even though you gave your honest opinion, we got to talk about you and probably your delivery and everything, especially with someone you don't know. I can't say that Nova was wrong. I will say this much. I do love you in the confessionals with that orange-red wig on. That attire was really good. From what I was seeing and what I was catching, I wasn't too much into your look that night. I'm not saying that you can't give it to us later on, but So they play the game as far as how to eat the hot dog. Althea was up, and to me, it looked like she was making love to that hot dog. She was taking it. Nova gonna say that she was eating the hot dog like a banshee. Nova, I don't think that was called for, and I don't think that you should have said that. And I can see you getting some backlash because of your skin tone and skin color, and probably your nationality and race is gonna get you in trouble trying to call a black woman that. Hopefully you fix that. You said that in the confessional, so there's not much that people can really say. However, I do recognize you're from Florida, and Florida just have those trout mouths. They just take it there. So now the fashion show has started. Noel is more impressed with the women and not with the men's style. He calls it boring. He compares it to Steve Harvey. I said, not Stacey Adams. But later on, he calls it's more like K&G. The only thing that he had to criticize about the women, I think there was one lady that was wearing some Quinceañera. I forgot how you say that word. Hopefully y'all know what I'm talking about. It's that Spanish cotillion that black folks have. It's just in Spanish. wearing those type of shoes. It's like those type of dance shoes if you were in show choir or you were in that type of ball space. So I get what Noel was saying. I'll concede with that, and I'll let you have that one. Anyways, they're all discussing it, and Noel has the biggest mouth in the showcase. Sebastian, whom I thought was Q's friend, to me was participating too much. He was giving his, Now, he probably didn't, I can't remember if he was really shading. However, you let these people shade in front of you. You were too comfortable, and that's supposed to be your friend, if that's your friend. But how you were acting, it doesn't seem like he's your friend. But anyways, Q gets back in. Some of them were congratulating him. And then Sebastian was the one that kind of put Noel on the spot and said, hey, what did you think? Noel ended up being brutally honest. To me, it just came off like, no. I just don't know if they're delivering. You could say, oh, I'm just being honest. Yeah, but you don't even know the person, and it's right after his event. You could have said just a little bit and said, we can talk later. And Q was like, after Noel was trying to say that this was like K&G type of style of clothing and wardrobe, and Q said, well, no, that was like Dolce & Gabbana. Like, then Q was in his confessional like, I'm not really offended because it doesn't look like these people are really that knowledgeable of fashion, so I can't expect much from them. Noel says that, I don't wear a lot of labels, but I do know how to dress. Yes, you do. Yes, you can actually do that. As far as the outfit and the wig you had on that night, no, sir. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. I got to call you out for that. Still like you, but no. And I think the reason I'm even trying to call you out for something or read you for anything is because of how you decided to deliver that to Q. Q, I think that you're a little bit too tame. And you're a little bit too polite to these folks shading you. And shading you too much, I think, in my opinion. I could tell that there is a fire that's brewing, and I don't think that you're going to be able to be this tame. I could just see it out of you. I like you, and I'm really drawn to you. I'm drawn to your presence. But all I can say is, why wait till later? Cuss these jokers out now. That's all I got to say. You ain't going to come to my event. It would have been different if this happened in a different setting, like the next day of, but I'm like, I just put this on. Q said that he just got this event together a few weeks ago. I think for effort, of course there's a lot of things that, well, I won't say a lot of things, but there are things that he could work on to improve. If this is his first time actually doing this, then what? I have nothing negative to say about that, sorry. Noel, who wanted to get out of the hot seat, tried to turn it on Tony. And who else? Althea and Sebastian. Because Tony had added something, I think, about the Quinceañera shoes. And like, you was talking about that, right? And then Noel tried to say, oh, well, y'all was saying something too. But Tony Uno reversed that and put it right back on Noel. So I said, good move. You're looking at a veteran that was able to reverse this right quick. Q says that, he's clearly confused, or at least called them confused. I think confused about why they have any type of opinions in this manner. And then talked about that wig, the shake and go wig that Noel had on, and Q says that Noel tapped into his Eddie Murphy energy. I said, Lord, I didn't know it was going to be shady like this in the first episode. I thought that was just going to sprinkle it in on us, but okay. I saw the trailer, so it's only up or maybe down from here. Anyways, I'm enjoying myself. I am going to get into everyone on this cast and do what I can to support you all because I'm a believer in your chase. As long as you're chasing, I'm going to oblige you. But I appreciate everyone for coming. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you thought of this episode and my review. And until the next one, peace.